Hi, Matti and Karter. So I'm going to go through the work that's in your packet. Your first math problem is at Kesha's party, 4 children ate cookies, 8 children ate pie. How many more children ate pie than cake? So in this one, we have to decide how many more ate the pie than ate the cake. So if we know that 4 ate cake and 8 ate pie, we have to know how many more ate this than this. So this is a subtraction problem. So we would say that 8 minus 4 equals. So we know that 4 more children ate pie than cake. If we go to number 2, it says Meg has 20 crayons and Liza has 13 crayons. How many fewer crayons does Liza have? All right, so what we have to do with this one is, once again, it's a subtraction problem. So we know that Meg has 20, and we know that Liza has 13. To find the difference, we have to subtract. So when we take 13 from 20, we cross this out because we know we're borrowing, and then we have 7. So we know that Liza had 7 fewer crayons, and this is your problem. You're going to write 20 minus 13 equals 7. On day 2, we have a longer math problem that talks about 19 children met at a park. So we know that 19 were at the park. 13 of them were flying kites. So only 13 children had the kites. How many children were not flying kites? So once again, this is a difference or a subtraction problem. So in order to find out, this is the total that were there, but only this amount we're doing kites. So we subtract the 13 from the 19, and that gives us 6. So we know that there were 6. It says in number 1, it says you will find out how many children were at the park or were not flying kites. We see from the last question, as part of when we read the problem, that we're looking for those who are not flying kites. So we would check the second bubble. Mark the sentence that tells us about the problem. We know that we would check number 1, which is 19 minus 13. And in our space, we're going to write 19 minus 13 equals 6. When we go to Wednesday, we have a slightly different setup for our work. And they give us 3 different ways that we can solve this problem. It says Carla went to a farm. She saw 5 cows, 6 goats, and 2 horses. How many did she see? So number 1, they put in circles to represent that there was 5 cows. They put in 6 circles to represent the goats. And they put in 2 circles to represent the horses. And then they added them all up. So if we add them all up, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we know that that equals 13. We could also draw a diagram where we know that we have 5, 6, and 2, so that we're adding them up. 5 plus 6 is 11, plus 2 more, so our missing variable is 13. Or you can write a number sentence, which we could do. 5 plus 6 plus 2 equals X, right? If we group 5 and 6 together, we know that 5 plus 6 is 11. Bring down our plus 2. We know that 11 plus 2 is 13. So X equals 13. So when you go to your diagram on the next page, which is your work that you need to put together, it says Tina has many pet fish. She has 4 striped fish. She has 8 blue fish and 2 gray fish. Right? How many fish does she have altogether? So we could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then add 2 more. Or we could do the other option, which is to put the diagram like this, and we could put 4, 8, and 2, and we know that 4 plus 8 is 12, plus 2 more is 14, so we can put that in our bubble. Or we could do the other option, which is to write out an equation. 4 plus 8 plus 2 equals, we know that 8 plus 4 is 12, plus 2 more equals 14. So we can solve the problem that way as well. When we look at our math problem for the next day, it says is basically the same thing. You're going to pick a way of solving the problem. And then the same way again for Friday. Now, when we look at our language work, it says, look at the picture of the bus and add a detail to the picture. So we have a picture of the bus, and on the side it says school. So you could, here, where there's a blank space before a school, write Red Hill. Because that would be a detail that you're adding on the side of the bus. And then you'll write the detail you added to the picture. So then you would write it down below that you added Red Hill to the picture. And it's as simple as that for that page. Now, as we go to our next page, it says write your name in the box. So you would write Karter or Matti, depending on who's answering it. And then you're going to have a detail, and a detail. And it says draw or write details about yourself in the oval. So we know that Karter has brown or dark hair. Matti has blonde hair. Karter has dark eyes. Matti has blue eyes. We could say that another detail is that one lives in one city, one lives in another. You could say that you're something else about you is that you're funny. So you could write funny in here. If you're funny, write funny. Or you're a very serious person, you could write the word serious. But it's 3 things that you would write about yourself. 3 details that describe you or things that tell about you. When we go to the next page, it says, read the sentences, which ones have the best details, and circle those sentences. So we went to the ocean park. I fed an otter. I saw 2 whales jump into the air. We came home. I fed an otter doesn't give a lot of details, but we went to Ocean Park today does give a lot of details, and I saw 2 whales jump into the air. So I would circle those 2 sentences because those give a lot of detail. And then at the bottom it says read the sentences, which one has the best detail? And then you're going to copy that sentence. So would we held sea stars be the one that gives the most information, or we sat down? So we would pick we held sea stars and then write that sentence on the line. For the next day, it says that read the sentences about the fair. Complete the last sentence. Write a good detail about the picture. It says you can play fun games, you can win silly prizes, you can eat a hot dog. So in this case, you can what? What else can you do? So you might say you can eat cotton candy, right? Because that would be a detail that we could add to our sentence. If we go to the next page and read the sentence about the 3 little pigs, cross out sentences that do not tell about the topic. So if we look at the sentence, 3 pigs had 3 houses. A big bad wolf came. Apples are yummy. The wolf blew a house down. I can run fast. So does apples are yummy fit in that sentence? No. So we would cross that one out. What about I can run fast? That really doesn't fit with the 3 little pigs story. So I would cross that one out. Then it says, look at the picture and write a new sentence about the story. So if we think about this story of the 3 little pigs, we can write another sentence that goes with our story. For example, one of the pigs had a house made of brick. So you could say one of the pigs had a house made of brick. You could say one of the pigs' house was made of straw. You could say one of the pigs' house fell down. So you can list anything that you would like to write as a detail. At the bottom it says add an S to tell about more than one. So if we add an S to pig, we get pigs. If we add an S to apple, we get apples. Make sense? Okay. On our next page, these are asking sentences. So an asking sentence gets a question mark because it's something that we're seeking information about. So at the end of all of these sentences, you're going to put a question mark. For example, can Bob ride a bike? That's a question, so we would put a question mark. Do you want to go to my house? Question mark. Can we go to the park? Question mark. And we do that for all of them. On the next page, it says put a period at the end of statements. A statement tells something and put a question mark at the end of questions. So what is your name? What is your name wouldn't be a telling sentence because it doesn't tell us anything. It's asking us something. So behind what is your name, you would put a question mark. Where do you live? Again, it isn't telling us anything, so we have to put in a question mark. What about I can jump rope? Well, that's telling us something. So at the end of that sentence, we would put a period. At the bottom, it says write a sentence about a monkey and write a question about a monkey. So one statement that I might write about a monkey is I would say, I know that monkeys swing in trees. So I could write that. So one of my questions about a monkey might be, what do monkeys eat? And that would be a question, and I could put a question mark at the end. At the end of my next page, it gives me choices, which I'm going to draw a line to. So they get the first one as an example. Can you play jump rope? And then they draw from that sentence to a question mark. Because that is indeed a question. It's not telling us anything, it's asking us. I like to run and hop. I like to run and hop is telling us something. So therefore I would draw a line from that sentence to the period. And you'll do that for each one of those. Now, on period or question mark, you're going to go through these sentences and decide if it's asking you something or telling you something. So for number 1, it says, who's going to the zoo with us? Is it telling us something? It's not telling us anything. It's asking us who is it. So at the end of that, we're going to put a question mark. But number 2 says, we will meet Bob and Carol at the zoo. So that is telling us something. So when we're telling somebody something, we put a period at the end. And you're going to do that all the way to the end. On the next page, it's that you're going to connect the dots by alphabet. And then it says, write a telling sentence about this elephant, and then write an asking question. The next page says we have the word look and peek. Look or peek. So to look at something means to see it directly. To peek at something means to look into something or look behind a door, as we can see in the illustrations. So in picture number 3, at the bottom, we see the bird looking at the daughter. So she can look at the bird. But what is the little girl doing in number 4? She lifts the lid to the box up. So we know that she's peeking in the box. So we would say that she will peek in the box. And our words are spelled above for us. If we go to the next one, which is a challenge for my newer friends, from Matti and Karter, is correcting sentences and figuring out what's wrong with them and making them right. And then, of course, following the directions for the other things. So you're going to go through there and see how to correct the sentence. The first one says, my dad took me at the park. Well, our dad can't take us at the park. What does our dad do? We would write, my dad takes me to the park. Right? And then I would put a period at the end. And that's how I would correct that sentence. All of these are the same thing. They're all questions. And then you see another example of play and play. Words that are spelled the same but used differently. More of those. And then we are done with the lessons for week 1. You have also a science packet included in your work folder. Those are things that you need to finish as well. You need to make sure that you read the science material thoroughly in order to answer the questions. Sometimes you will have to go back and look at some of the previous pages in order to find answers for maybe Thursday and Friday, because they will say something that you've already learned on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and they may ask you a question about it. So it's important to read thoroughly all the information and make sure that you're answering the questions correctly and that you're able to use that information further in the week. If you have any questions, you may certainly give me a call or meet in the Zoom meeting in the evening. Have a good week.